Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Life in Lockdown. Many of you will recognize my guest today, the lovely Becky Wade, whose new book, Stay With Me, just released this past Tuesday. Welcome, Becky. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to have something to look forward to on my calendar for once.
I know. So I have a story to tell you, actually. So I film Saturday mornings here, so it's Saturday just before 8, and I interviewed Janine Roche last week, and when I posted it up, somehow it crossed my husband's Facebook feed, which doesn't happen very often because I don't think he likes my author page, and he came upstairs where I was, working away at my day job, and he's like, Cara, I've just seen your interview with the blonde lady, because he didn't know who she was. He's like, and I just have to say that she looks like she's put in some real effort and you look like you've crawled straight out of bed. And I was like, well, honey, that's because I film it on a Saturday morning and I have literally just crawled straight out of bed. So he's like, well, maybe for the next one, you might want to up your game. So this morning, just for you, I had a shower and I blow dried my hair, which does not happen a lot at the moment.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was looking at this image of you on my computer screen and your hair looks fantastic. It looks very blow-dried.
Thank you. Thanks very
so
much.
Your efforts paid off.
There we go. And if it crosses Josh's Facebook feed, I can say, look, there we go. He was not, the funniest thing was one of the reasons why I did it was because whenever I do this on Saturday morning, he's always still asleep. So I didn't want to be like thumping around in our ensuite, blow drying and doing everything to make myself look presentable.
Exactly. You were being considerate.
I was being considerate. I was showing myself to the world straight out of bed out of considerateness for my husband, and he told me I should put in more effort. So I did.
And if it messed up his sleep, too bad.
Yeah. And may well have woken the children as well, because often they sleep through, and when I came out of the bathroom this morning, 2 children were on top of him. So there we go. Now, Becky, for readers who don't know you very well, whereabouts in the States are you, and what kind of COVID-19 restrictions are you living under?
My husband and 3 kids and I, we are in Dallas, Texas, and we're under shelter-at-home restrictions for 6 weeks, and my husband's workplace closed down for that entire amount of time. And of course, the kids' schools closed down and all of that. So we were just all 5 of us here at the house all the time. And then as of this past Monday, they did loosen some of the restrictions. And so my husband was able to go back to work, and they're not up at full speed by any means, but at least he was able to go in and get back on the job. And they are now allowing restaurants, like sit-down restaurants, to serve customers, but only at 25% capacity. So there's tons of space between tables, and the servers all have on gloves and masks and that kind of thing. But it's encouraging and hopeful to see that some of the restrictions have loosened just slightly. So I'm prayerful that the case numbers will not climb dramatically and that we can just continue to ease restrictions from here, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Your youngest, is school out for her for the year? And what about your middle? Your middle's still at school as well, is that right?
So our oldest daughter is a freshman in college, and then we have our son is a sophomore in high school, and then our youngest is just finishing up 5th grade, and all of them are still in school. Nobody's out for the year yet. Oh, wow. But my college freshman will be finishing first. I think she finishes on the 13th or the 14th. So next week she'll be done. Yeah. And then the others will be done about a week later. So we're getting close to being at the end of online school, which will be really nice to kind of finish that component, because that's been a little tricky to manage.
Yeah. I was just like we were talking about before we came on, getting enough devices for everybody in the house to do school and work.
Yes. Luckily, my 11-year-old, her school, they checked out Chromebooks. to
Yeah.
all of their students who wanted one. And that was a huge help because that's what she uses every day to do her work. So that was very gracious of them to make those available to all of the kids.
That is awesome.
Also,
And
you probably are going to be seeing children walking behind me because they're all here.
yeah,
So
yeah, well, I'm like,
we're all cozy family here all the time. So that's
yeah,
who's walking behind me if you see that.
I have to go and hide. I'm down in our junk room. This is like the one angle that doesn't look like the utter kind of chaos it is. And my children right now are all in front of screens. So every now and then one may wander in, especially because my husband's still in bed. So what is for you, what is the biggest difference between kind of, I guess, life in January and life now in May? Obviously, kids are home all the time.
Yes, that is definitely the biggest difference. And to be honest with you, my husband being here all of the time was almost more challenging just because he's noisy and I'm the kind of writer that needs quiet in which to think. And I've been needing to work. And so having all 5 of us for those 6 weeks here all the time was definitely the biggest difference in my life. And my husband was making phone calls and watching loud TV shows and coming and going and asking questions and, you know, shutting doors and just all the stuff. And so that just having all of us here and trying to deal with the constant swarm of activity, that has been the most challenging and the biggest difference I've dealt with.
Yeah, I started working at home the week before my husband because he was in the middle of all of this. Josh changed jobs and he had 2 weeks off in between. So I was working from home from kind of the corner of our bedroom. And then he started, and because, you know, we've got 3 kids in our house who are littles, like we had to be in our room because the minute we stepped out, they were like, oh, you're here to play with us. Anyway, and so we did that for like maybe a day or 2. And then I ended up being like, you're really loud. Like even just having someone else in the room, even if he wasn't doing meetings and stuff, like tapping away on his laptop and breathing. So he got evicted into our youngest son's room, the poor guy, because I already had that set up. I was well established. I was there first.
I can so relate. That's kind of exactly what we've been going through here. Just the breathing. Why are you breathing?
Why must you do that all the time? And obviously into all of this craziness this week, you have just released Stay With Me. Can you show people the beautiful cover? Because it is truly beautiful.
Yes. She had asked me before we started if I had a copy of the book handy, and I'm sitting at my desk where I write. So I do. This is what it looks like.
Go.
And I'm sort of in love with the whole package.
Oh,
like
that back is
together.
beautiful. I haven't seen the back before. That is so nice.
Yeah, but it shows another picture of the same couple, and actually the little picture on the spine is a different different photo as well.
Oh.
So it's the same couple, 3 different photos of them.
Yeah.
But and the spine, the title rather is Raised and Shining, which it's hard to pick that up on.
Yeah. Like I said to you, my copy is somewhere over the Pacific Ocean because mail is taking a long time at the moment. So I'm very excited to hold it. Now, did I read somewhere that the couple are a real couple?
Yes. In fact, they're a married couple and they're Christians.
Oh.
And so I have them on my blog today, in fact, and I asked them to tell me a little bit about themselves, and they talk about their love story, but also their faith story. And it's just incredibly sweet. So I feel like this was the perfect couple for this cover for that reason, but then also because she looks exactly like the heroine of my imagination. And it's so phenomenal when you can almost see a character of yours come to life so accurately. And that's exactly the feeling I had when I first saw this cover. I was like, oh my gosh, that's her. Like, that is her. Every detail was right, which was wonderful.
That is so cool. When I was looking at options for my cover for Start With Me, and I've ended up with just the single heroine on the cover of mine. I spent all of this time looking at photos of couples, and that was tricky because Victor, my hero, he's got a big scar down one side of his face, and obviously, you don't find many photos of men models with big scars down their face. So I kind of switched, and I was like, okay, well, let's just see what I can find with single people. And the minute I saw that photo that's ended up on my cover, I was just like, oh my gosh, that is Lacey. That's Lacey exactly like I imagined she looks like. And then that was just it. I was like, well, it's not going to be a standard romance cover with two people on it, because I found one of them, and this is it. It'll do.
Well, it's a thrilling moment as the author to feel like this person depicts your character so perfectly.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what image you're talking about on your new cover, because I was admiring it the other day. I think it turned out to be really strong, just the way that it is with the single heroine on the front. As a romance reader, I almost prefer to see a cover with a single heroine, because it can be so hard to get the right guy on a cover. And if the guy's not right, it's distracting. If the guy's right, it's wonderful, but it can be really difficult to find the right person to personify your hero, So I think the direction you went was definitely the right one.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because her hair in this kind of weird kind of way is actually part of how you see her character change during the course of the story. Because when at the beginning she's this kind of New York publicist, and everything about her is very carefully controlled and curated in terms of her image. And then as she moves through the story, part of how you're seeing her change is she lets her hair go, which
oh, great, because the photo, she's got her hair all down.
And so in the photo, her hair is obviously all kind of like wavy and a little bit wild, and so that was really fun, because you kind of the Lacey on the cover, you can, when you're reading the book, you can tell is not the Lacey from the beginning of the story. It's the Lacey from closer to the end of the story.
I love that. That's cool.
So yeah. Okay. So talk to us about releasing a brand new book, beginning a brand new series into a pandemic, because obviously none of us have done this before, and it wasn't in anyone's marketing plan 6 to 12 months ago.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, the release date for Stay With Me was set 12 months ago, and I turned it in 11 months ago. And of course, nobody could have foreseen what happened in 2020, and nobody knows how to navigate this. This is just a completely new challenge for every single one of us, including my publisher. And so I actually feel thankful that they were able to still get the books out there, at all, considering all of the restrictions and everything. And it seems that they were able to do that. And so that's a blessing. The other blessing is that some people are actually reading more right now. And that's because they have more time, or they just want more of a break from all of the pressures and concerns of their regular life, and they are reaching for inspirational romances. And so, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely very huge downsides, because all of the bookstores are closed. The brick and mortar bookstores are closed. But it's totally out of my control. And so I'm just trusting the Lord to, accomplish his will through this story one way or the other. Because I do think that the spiritual thread, the faith thread in this one is as strong or stronger than in any other story that I've written. And so I'm just believing that he's going to find a way to bring it into the hands of the readers that he intends for it.
I've seen a couple of quotes from it on various social media places, and I was like, oh, look at that. That is so powerful. Just reading, a little meme. It's so amazing. And also, obviously, you've been on deadline for the next book in the series to turn in a few weeks. How have you found being on deadline in the current environment?
You're exactly right. My next book is due in just a few weeks. And so I have a book releasing and I have a book due, and then I have everyone at home. Actually, at first it was very rocky when I was trying to get my work done and I had, all the kids and my husband here. And it took us a while to fall into a sort of routine. But once we did, it became more doable. So I've just been really carefully following a daily routine so that I can get everything that I need to get accomplished. And it's taking me long hours. I mean, I'm not finishing until dinner time and sometimes past dinner time each day, but I'm just working that routine. So it's just like Groundhog Day, that movie. Like every time I get up and I just do these same things every day. And somehow that's kind of enabled me to find pockets of quiet. So in the afternoon when I'm actually rewriting, I spend, if I can, like if the weather is decent, I spend that whole time outside. And that gives me a little separation and some quiet. I don't mind having birds chirping around me. And so that's how I've made it work, to just try to keep up with my daily work goals while all this is happening.
Can you tell us anything about the hero and heroine of the next book?
Yes. So you'll be introduced to the hero of the second novel in Stay With Me. And his name is Sebastian. And he's kind of a prodigy. He finished high school in 2 years and college in 2 years, and then he went on to medical school. And so he just became this renowned cardiac heart surgeon at a pretty young age. He's only 32 and he's already achieved that. And then he falls in love with a mathematician, which has been interesting because most of us who are writers are not math girls. I do know one who is, but most of us aren't. And so I am definitely in the not a mathematician camp. And I really actually enjoyed trying to live in the shoes of someone who has that kind of brain. And I watched tons of YouTube videos by female mathematicians just to sort of get my hands around how they see the world, what they're like. And so those are the hero and heroine of the next book. And I'm having a lot of fun writing this. I really enjoy writing very brainy heroines, especially. Like, I feel like that's something that is just always a treat. Like when I wrote Nora in True to You, she was in that category. She was a brainy, avid reader. And I had a blast writing her, and I'm having just as much fun writing this mathematician.
I read a book recently where the heroine was a scientist, and in some of the scenes with her and the hero, she's explaining her work to him, and I'm like reading these pages, and I'm like trying to imagine as a writer, like trying to write that kind of hero, and I'm like, this is like amazing. I mean, it was, like you say, so cool to see such a like powerfully smart heroine on the page. But at the same time, as someone who's not a science person or a math person, I was like, writing this kind of character for me, I would be so scared, because I'd be so scared that I'd get an email from an actual scientist being like, so this whole conversation is just wrong.
Yes. And I've taken that on from two directions with the book that I'm rewriting now, because he's a heart surgeon and she's a mathematician. And so I have two characters with jobs that, I've really had to educate myself about and learn a ton about. And it's daunting. And in fact, in the first draft, I did not get her right at all. I read through the first draft and I thought, okay, I've got to retool this completely. I've got to do a lot more research. I've got to understand her much better. So for me, sometimes bringing those brainy characters to life, it happens in the second and third drafts, that I can layer all of that good stuff in.
And does it take place in the same location?
Yes. So the location is called Misty River, and it's a fictional small town in the mountains of northern Georgia, the very sort of southern area of the Blue Ridge, which stretches through multiple states. Readers suggested to me many, many mountain towns when I asked them a couple of years ago for ideas. I was like, I'm feeling a mountain town. I want to write a series set in a mountain town. Which mountain towns do you love? And they gave me tons of ideas. And I came to this region because of their recommendations. And then I went to go see it myself and I loved it. I was like, this is it. This is my setting.
So cool. And how many books are there in this series?
There will be 3 novels.
Yeah.
So far, I have released one prequel novella that also ties in, and that one is free to download if you have an e-reader. So that one is free, and then it's also available in print for a few dollars on Amazon. But then I hope between the second and third novels to maybe release a Christmas novella. So by the time it's all said and done, I would like to do what I did with my Bradford Sisters series, which is 2 novellas and 3 novels. That amount of books felt perfect to me with the Bradford Sisters. So that's, Lord willing, what I hope to accomplish with this series too.
I need to tell you, when I read Take a Chance on Me, the novella, I have not been so desperate for pie in a long time. And we can't get pie like that right now. Unless someone.
I know, it made me so hungry for pie too. It made me so hungry for pie. And in Sweet on You, the book that I released a year ago, she's a, chocolate maker. And so that one made me so hungry for chocolate. And in Sweet on You, he's a really good cook and he has a restaurant. So there's lots of food in this book too. And obviously I just enjoy eating vicariously through my stories. This has just become clear to me over time.
All right. So final 2 questions that I ask every author. What is keeping you sane right now? And what do you miss the most right now?
What's keeping me sane is daily walks. It makes me feel like I'm not a prisoner in this house because I've spent so much time within these 4 walls. And so rain, shine, wind, cold, whatever, I'm out every day for at least 30 minutes, but oftentimes more like 40 minutes or an hour walking. So that is what it's kept me sane. And then what was your other question? Did you ask me another question?
What do you miss the most?
Oh, what do I miss the most? I miss church the most. We're doing a really good job at our church of trying to stay connected. They're streaming their services and they're bringing our Sunday school class together through Zoom meetings, but it's not the same as corporate worship. And so I think of all the things I will look forward to resuming that the most.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And everyone, we are going to be giving away a copy of Becky's new release, only a few days old. Yay. Stay with me. So Becky has a question for you to answer in the comments if you would like to be in to win.
Okay, so I discussed mountain towns. And so my question for you to answer, if you'd like to be entered in the giveaway, is what is the favorite mountain town that you visited? So just let us know. What is your favorite mountain town?
There we go. What is your favorite mountain town? Drop an answer in the comments if you would like to be in to win a copy of Stay With Me. Thanks so much, Becky. It was so lovely chatting to you.
It was a treat. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.